So I've been replaying The Bouncer. Okay, so I'm not gonna mince words here. No pussyfooting around or beating around the bush, as me and my pussy feet are tackling this bush head on. My original review of The Bouncer was straight up hot garbo. Sure, it actually was my first actual attempt at an actual review. I had tried the JonTron, I had done the Let's Play, and even did the commentary piece leading up to this, so I was feeling proper confident. Everything I had done up to this point would accumulate into a weekly review series that would shake the foundations of weekly review series. Only then, depression hit like a brick, I was unable to sleep for a full fucking year, and ended up sounding like a zombie fuckchild. So, I'd say it's about time we try this again, in my brand new The Bouncer review for the PS2. I'm sure you're all terribly excited. The Bouncer is a documentary about a man named Tetsuya Nomura and his horrible addiction to drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Originally a character designer known for his sleek, realistic, uniform work on games like Final Fantasy VII and VIII, he subsequently lost his mind and ended up making these abominations, who will serve as our three main characters for today. Meet Sion Bahazard, or whatever, Ko-Laifu, and Volt Kuga. These three gentlemen, as the title would imply, are bouncers, working at a wee little bar somewhere in miscellaneous Europe. For some reason though, the zombie monkey men from RE Survivor and the Mishima Zaibatsu from Tekken 4's mode show up and kidnap Shion's girlfriend because plot. And so, Shion Ko and Volt Kuga end up tracking these dudes down to retrieve Bei and maybe also save the day. I don't know, to be honest, as shit gets a bit weird.
Don't make me angry! You wouldn't like me when I'm angry! I don't care if I destroy my mind!
As I've said in the past though, I've personally always liked Nomura's character designs. Even the stuff where I see most people going, "What?" still look pretty neat to me. Also, you hating on cripples there, bruh? Huh? Yeah? Well, that's my job! Maybe I'm just horribly biased and confused because I started playing the Final Fantasy series with the 8th entry. But to me, there's always been a certain sleekness to his designs. That just goes really well with the overabundance of edge. The Bouncer, however, looks a bit more like a fever dream. Fucking late 90s douchebag tribal tattoos, dated and even gaudy back then 80s hardcore body mods. Not to mention the tightest ass blend of modern urban sportswear and new wave novelty items. It's definitely a one-of-a-kind style, to put it lightly. Mother, I have a favor to ask you. I really want to learn Taekwondo. No son of mine will learn martial arts. How many times must I tell you? Then I will leave this house. I believe in order to be a proper heir to the Hearst family, one must be strong as well. In a move I could only describe as... The Bouncer ended up being a 3D beat-em-up, made by Dream Factory, the lads behind masterpieces such as Tobal 1, Tobal 2, and... figured that it would be a good idea to take the actual physical essence of fuckery that was Guys' menu sound and turn that into a fully playable game. And with fully playable, I mean the short 5-minute intermission sandwiched in between the cutscenes, of course. Yeah, unlike most beat-em-ups, this is not a gameplay first kind of deal, even in the fucking slightest. As this 2-hour game only has about 30 minutes worth of actual gameplay. The Bouncer essentially plays out like a Squaresoft CGI movie, where all people do is cry, joke around, act awkwardly, and fly around in midair fighting each other. Only now, with the exception of a few admittedly quite hype scenes, those actiony bits are replaced with glorious beat-em-up action. And I do mean glorious. Believe it or not, by the way, but those ragdoll physics are actually a fucking mechanic. The game's entire combat system is based around juggling. Awkward, slow, completely jank, and unpredictable juggling. The objective here is to either drunkenly torpedo dudes into each other or launch them up into the air, keeping them there, as doing so earns you points that you could spend after each fight to buy some stat upgrades or new moves. All of this is pretty cool conceptually, but the execution is fucking terrible. A big reason for this, though you will soon find it to be one of many, are the controls. They suck, basically.
What are you doing?
Can't you tell? I'm training.
Looks like a lot of fun.
No one's stopping you from doing it.
I get sick real easy, so...
What is your name?
Caldea.
For one, the button layout is definitely less than traditional for a beat-em-up. If anything, it felt more like something out of a 2D fighter, where you have individual buttons dedicated to high, middle, and low attacks. That combined with a weird moon jump and some special moves, already makes for a system that doesn't really seem to flourish very well in a fully functional 3D world. Especially without a lock-on of any kind and a less than ideal camera that you have absolutely zero control over. And naturally, it's also rather floaty and has a very strange sense of weight to it at all times. Not to the point where it's completely and utterly lacking in any form of satisfying play, but definitely enough to keep me from ever fully getting into it. I think even just looking at the footage though, it should be fairly evident how slow everyone moves. And to top it all off, the juggling system as a whole doesn't really seem to work either. Again, it is a novel concept, but keeping up a juggle is nearly fucking impossible because of how random and unpredictable the juggle physics are. Which, when paired with the fact that you only get EXP if you land the finishing blow, creates an environment where you're almost fighting against your teammates rather than with them. I mean, they can just as well stumble against you as you can stumble against them, and the same goes for the enemies as well, but more damningly is that I found myself hounding all of the weaker dudes, just to be able to snatch up that sweet succulent final blow EXP instead of actually trying to play shit properly. Especially because that EXP is something you need desperately.
I finally made my master use one of his hands.
Wow, you finally did it.
Yeah. But that geezer said it'd take me a lifetime to make him use both of his hands.
You two, really do get along, don't you?
Caldea, your parents are always kind and caring to you too.
I've never been scolded my whole life. I don't know if you'd call that caring, mate.
All three of the playable main characters have their own playstyle, move lists, stats, and their own upgrade screen. At the start of each fight, the game asks you to choose, and depending on who you picked, some events might pan out differently, though not really. Sion is the fast and agile one, kinda like Hwarang from Tekken.
Volt Kuga
is strong as fuck, but so very stupendously slow that he's barely even playable in this land of molasses. And Ko is kinda like stuck in one place sort of, and he excels in juggling, I guess. I don't know. I think the plan here is that he's supposed to be some kind of support, staying in the middle of the fray, just trying to keep the juggles going, but I don't really see that being a fun thing to do, to be honest. Either way, this shit is all well and great, but the fact that all three of these fuckboys have their own separate skill trees royally fucks over what very little functional shit the game has left. I mean, with the points you get being a tad scarce compared to the cost of the upgrades, and with how broken these systems are to begin with, means that not sticking to one dude for the entire game will leave you with 3 horribly underleveled characters near the end, resulting in a very not good time. The upgrade system itself, by the way, actually isn't half bad on its own merits. It's no Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but it gets the job done for a simple 3D brawler. Shit like knowing what to spend your precious points on adds kind of a tactical element, and the sense of progression you get from it feels pretty rewarding too. But having to play the game in any other way than initially intended, just to make it palpable, is not a sign of good design. Plus, your shitty AI buddies keep dying mid-battle as well, leaving you to fend for yourself, and thus kinda really needing those upgrades anyway.
What is it?
Master Wong hasn't come home.
What?
He said something weird a while ago, but I didn't expect him to disappear so suddenly.
Have you notified the police? He could have been involved in some accident.
No accident could kill him, even if someone tried to murder him. That old man wouldn't die.
The bouncer is pretty much a tech demo. Its only purpose was to look cool in PS2 showreels, and it does do that perfectly. Even now, it still has that edgy sleekness to it that Square excelled in back then, which still makes it look a hell of a lot more interesting than it actually is, and considering it's just one big cutscene as well, they at least got things like directing and cinematography down fairly well. Better than Final Fantasy X anyway. Though the writing and voice acting are a bit,
Hey, where were you? You're late.
very 90s Japan, so to say. And it also has this really obnoxious blur effect, completely smearing all semblance of detail right across your entire screen. But yeah, the game sucks balls. Though I can't help but liking it somehow. I think that's mostly because I grew up playing Squaresoft's games. The way the models look, the designs, the wireframe computer screens, and even shit like the fonts and UI just tend to strike a chord with me. So, if anything Squaresoft makes you incredibly square hard, it's worth playing through at least just once if you haven't already. For everyone else though, don't bother. As I said, it's largely frustrating, slow, kinda boring, and a complete and utter broken mess. I'm genuinely wondering if anyone at Square thought if this was okay, or if they just didn't really give a shit. Judging from some of the writing though, I'm gonna have to go with the latter option. Chaldea.
Hey, watch it! Who the hell do you think you are? Running into me like that without an apology? What's with that pathetic look on your face? What? Did your girlfriend dump you?